All right, in this video, I'm gonna show you guys a marketing tactic that is actually in the Bible, and I'm gonna show you guys how it parallels together. All right, ready to dive in? Let's do it. For those of y'all who don't know, my name is Leland Baptist. I'm a marketing expert, a Bible enthusiast, Bible lover, AI enthusiast, etc. And so what we're going to dive in today is I'm going to show you where marketing is within the Bible, and also the verse, chapter, all that good stuff, and then also show you where this actually transforms into what we do as business owners. Okay, so for those of you guys who want to follow along, we are in Luke chapter 11, and you notice that the first verse starts off with Jesus instructing his disciples on how to pray. By the way, what you'll notice is that Jesus actually didn't go out of his way to show them how to pray. What actually takes place here, I'm reading the Passion Translation. What actually takes place is that they're watching Jesus go off on his own on multiple occasions, seclude himself from the rest of the team or the pack, and he's basically praying on his own. All right, and so one of them says, "Hey, Jesus, show us how to pray, or give us a model prayer." Just as John the Baptist's disciples taught him how to pray. So he gives them a framework, right? That's the first part. When we do things as entrepreneurs, we want to make sure that we also can follow a framework. And now Jesus is teaching them the most important thing, which is communication with God, right? And he's teaching them to do it, but to use a particular framework on how to pray. And so we call it the Lord's Prayer, but in actuality, it's not to be recited as an actual prayer. It's a framework for prayer, okay? It's not an actual prayer, it's a framework for prayer. Now, in verse 5, here's something that's pretty interesting that I want you guys to think about when it comes to marketing. So the first thing we just realized was observing someone who's doing what you want to do. Number 2 is asking, right? Like, hey, I want to do that same thing, can you help me? Number 3 is that person giving you a framework, and then you actually abiding or using the framework you were given. Number 5, and starts in verse 5, Jesus gives them an illustration or a picture or a metaphor. He says, imagine what would happen if you were to go to one of your friends in the middle of the night, pound on his door and shout, "Please, do you have some food you can spare? A friend just arrived at my house unexpectedly, and I have nothing to serve him." First off, you go to a friend's house on behalf of another friend. That's what's taking place here. But your friend says, "Why are you bothering me?" First off, that doesn't sound like a friend to me, but it is what it is. "The door is locked and my family and I are in bed. Do you expect me to get up and give you our food?" Verse 8, and I have this highlighted here. It says, "I tell you, because of your shameless persistence, even though it's the middle of the night, your friend will get up out of his bed and give you all that you need." Then it goes on to say, "So with your prayers, ask and you'll receive, seek and you'll discover, knock and you knock on heaven's door, and it will open one for you." Right? Here's something interesting. Now, I've heard people talk about the ASK formula, ASK, which is just ask, seek, knock, right? I want to take it a step further than just ask, seek, knock. I want to apply this to also what people oftentimes mistake or miss out on when it comes to business, and especially for marketing. This is someone soliciting their friend for help. And initially, their own friend or family member is basically saying, "No, I don't want to help you." And it says, because this individual chooses to be persistent, eventually the friend caves in. All right. Now that's for a friend. Imagine how persistent this person would have had to been had it been a complete stranger, right? It doesn't tell us how persistent. It doesn't say whether it was 5 times, 6 times, 1,000 times. We don't know, but we do know that it had to be more than once. It had to be persistent. And that meant that it was ongoing. It was almost relentless in a sort, okay? Now, I want to share something with you from a marketing perspective, and I want to paint the parallel so you can actually see why I believe the Bible is the best marketing foundation that anyone can receive. For the for the thousands of people that I've consulted for business, one of the things that I try to get them to understand with the basics of marketing is this rule called the Rule of 7. And this is done off of a study that took place in the 1930s, where they found out that in order for an individual an individual or a prospect to really make a decision, a buying decision, on whether or not to actually do business with someone, that prospect has to hear or see the message of the product or service at least 7 times. Now, this was done in the 1930s, and that's where we had less distractions. So you can imagine now with social media and our phones, etc., it takes more than 7 times for someone to see it. But what you'll notice here is the Rule of 7 states this. The Rule of 7 in marketing suggests that a potential customer needs to encounter a brand's marketing message at least 7 times before making a purchase decision, emphasizing the importance of repeated exposure to build familiarity, trust, and influence. All right, trust and influence. The Rule of 7 in marketing principle that highlights the need for consistent and repeated exposure. Consistent and repeated exposure. In today's crowded market, consumers are bombarded with information, making it crucial to repeat your message multiple times to stand out and leave a lasting impression. How many times have I spoken to business owners that I give them the example, say, hey, listen, have you ever gone to a family reunion? And in your family reunion, you were talking to a great aunt of yours who loves you dearly. And you say to that aunt, hey, how's it going? And let's say you're a realtor, for example. The aunt says, oh, so-and-so, did I mention to you that I just bought a house last week? And you're like, Auntie so-and-so, or Auntie Sue, don't you know that I'm a realtor? Don't you care about me? This is using that as an example, right? And the person would say, oh my goodness, I totally forgot. I wish you would have reminded me. And as a business owner, you're thinking to yourself, why should I have to remind you that I am in business? That's what you think to yourself. As a business owner, you probably have thought that to yourself. Like, why should I have to remind my aunt, my family, my loved ones that I'm in business? The real question is, why should you not? Remember, in the verse we read in Luke, that was someone's friend that he had to persistently, essentially remind him just to go ahead and receive food from his own friend. Your family members, your friends, your colleagues, people who are in your sphere of influence, if you're not repeating your message over and over again, they will forget what you do and what you offer. It will completely and totally leave their mind. This is how that Rule of 7 correlates perfectly with what we just read in chapter 11 of Luke. You need to be consistently repeating your message so that people know what you offer, who you are, what you do, and who you do it for, over and over and over again. Now, it may feel like a broken record for you. Good. You need to repeat it over and over and over. So much so that you will have a tagline, so much so that your message resonates with other people, so much so that when people think of a particular solution, that they should immediately think about what you offer and what you do. It is okay to repeat yourself over and over again. Make sure you have your elevator pitch ready over and over again. Have your USPs over and over again. Have your taglines over and over again. People forget. People ignore until they actually need it. And you want to be available the moment that they need the thing. But if you're not on top of mind, they will forget you. They have to know, like, and trust you, and you have to be on repeat. With the way our society is, you've seen it within politics, a person can tell a lie, and people may know it's a lie, but if you repeat that lie enough times, over and over again, people will subconsciously allow it to sink in, and they'll believe it as a truth. So with that being said, as an entrepreneur, learn from chapter 11 of Luke. Verse 8, remember to be persistent in what you offer. Now, this example was a reference to the message of a prayer, being persistent in your prayer with God, and making sure that you ask, seek, and knock repeatedly. apply those same methods also into your business and watch God multiply it. So with that being said, think, believe, do, feel. All right? Over and over again, over and over again. It's the doing that is going to instill that confidence and belief. So God bless you. Talk to you guys soon and apply this to your business.